Hello out there. Just touch in again. You know how we do it. We bring interesting topics, interesting people. I mean, we had someone that went back even on Kobe before he was Kobe and talked about his life in high school and all that stuff. We had Bobby Lewis, who is the inventor of the two ball, all that two ball dribbling stuff people doing and shooting and all this other stuff. Steph Curry and all these guys are doing. It emanated from Bobby Lewis. You got to check that podcast out. Don't just overlook it. I don't know who that is, man. Bobby Lewis. And he was bad in his own self. All-American in college, tremendous ball handler, played high school basketball in the backcourt with Earl Monroe. So he got it going on. You got to check him out. You got to give credit where credit is due. We also have Hall of Famers, NBA Hall of Famers, and Jamal Wilkes, Marcus Johnson, people like that. So we've done it all. Coaches, we had coaches on. But today, we're going to get on the topic that's most important in basketball. There's an out front basketball world where you see the NBA, college, who's making the big money and all that. But then you got the people that's developing all that. When nobody's looking, these people make the game. They're the backbone of the game of basketball. And you don't want to know any history? You better learn something. You better know who helped carve this stuff out here that's going on with players and how they're getting better and what's going on. And we talk about a lot of problems in the AAU and all these different areas. And right now, it's a lot of problems going on in sports in general. The women's basketball with the, not having the equipment and all this stuff. It's a lot going on. So when you find good people, people that care about the people that they work with, want to see young people succeed, not just for the money, but for betterment of their lives and becoming better people. That's who I'm introducing to you today. I'm honored to bring on my guest today, longtime friend, but definitely a basketball, maverick for sure. Been around the game in all aspects of it. Wayne Slappy. Coach Slappy, good to have you in, my friend. Glad to have you on Touch In.
Andre, thanks for welcoming me, man. It's an honor to be here.
Well, when you talk about basketball, you're a person that is in the background making it happen. And I wanted to bring you out into the light. Not that, other people don't know about you, but, they had this word relevant. He's relevant. Yeah, this guy's relevant, man. By the time he finished telling you all the different things he's done in basketball, you'll know he's relevant and he has a major impact and influence in the game of basketball from every level, professional, college, all the way down as far as you can go in the game. So Wayne, when you started out, you were a young man. So at 22, you became a head coach. What the, man, you was doing it early.
Crazy. It was crazy, man. I just got out, graduated from college. I'd hurt my foot. I couldn't really jump anymore. I had some interest from the Nets, I had some interest from the Celtics, but it wasn't realistic. And this is back in the day before they had this fancy surgeries and all this other stuff. So I was walking by my high school and I just was feeling lonely, So I grew up in the projects. I left the projects and went by my high school. And I saw my old high school basketball coach playing racquetball against the wall. I'm like, hey, Coach Clerman, how you doing? I'm good. Slap, what you doing? I don't know. He said, why don't you apply for a teaching job? There's no opening at the school. I'm like, okay. That was like in June. I go downtown, I apply for the job. Everybody that applied for the job, they knew who I was at the Board of Education. I get the job teaching at my high school.
It's not what you know, it's who you know, but go ahead.
It's crazy. So then I started teaching in September, and Floyd Kerr got assistant coach's job at Colorado State. My coach, who had become the athletic director, said to me, Slap, you wanna be the head coach? Now, me and my self-absorbed ego, I say, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my high school, when I was a freshman, it was the #1 high school in the country.
Wow.
When we played basketball, we scrimmaged against St. John's, beat their freshman team. Luke Carseca told them cats, get off the floor, put the varsity out there, and we spanking on them too.
Wow.
So I'm watching, I'm in school, I'm in my 9th grade class, and I got a 6'8" guy, Leroy Cobb, that went to USC with Mo Layton. And, he's in my class, and they walk out the hallway, and I'm walking down the hall. They look like giraffes. I'm looking up at these guys. They're like giraffes walking in the hallway. I'm like, whoa. So anyway, long story short, man, I'm back in my high school. It's a perennial power. Oh man, I gotta work my butt off. I gotta learn how to really do this job. I got the head job.
Right.
I applied for the head job in September. I got it October 1st.
Wow.
I started going to every basketball clinic I could find. The main one I found, the best one I found was the medalist clinic.
Right.
That the one and only John Wooden,
Uh-oh.
Dean Smith, Al McGuire, Frank McGuire,
Wow.
Jimmy Boeheim, Bobby Knight. All these cats was at this one spot teaching basketball, grinding on us. Now, you got to understand, when Coach Wooden gave his lecture, everybody was there. All the coaches.
Right. You had a pack house, huh?
Now, I'm meeting all these cats, man. The two coaches that were the best to me, that welcomed me like I've been there for years, was Coach Wooden and Al McGuire.
Wow.
Welcomed me with open arms, answering any question I had, even when the lecture was over. It was wonderful. So I went to that several times, and, basically my career took off.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Wayne. Keep going.
Then I got invited to be one of the coaches at 5-star basketball camp.
Hold it right there.
Go ahead.
5-star. Let me
Yes, sir.
get my little background on that. When I started coaching at UCLA, the place they said you got to go to 5-star. When you went to recruiting, you make your stops, but you go on the 5-star.
That's right.
Garf is over there, and he was an influential person in basketball. Everybody was over there. Different coaches that we know about now grew up in the 5-star system, and so you're one of those coaches also.
That's correct. And
name some of the people. Name some of the people there.
Oh man,
can't think that's just a few. I mean, it's so illustrious.
Rick Pitino was in there coaching like me. John Calipari was in there coaching like me. Dave Odom was in there coaching like me. I could keep going. Jimmy Larranaga was in there coaching like me.
Wow.
It was awesome. We had lectures. Hubie Brown would come through, do his lecture. Fran Fischel would come through, do his lecture. Coach K would come through, do his lecture. I mean, we had the best of the best. On any given day, watching a basketball game, you might have 200 Division I coaches watching one full court of guys playing basketball. It was incredible.
What was it about Garf that you felt, his whole thing? Because he wasn't really a basketball player.
No,
he had a heart for the game.
He started in the news media, and his first real superstar, he got out there for everybody to know he knew basketball and understood what talent was this guy named Lou Alcindor.
Oh.
So he launched Lou's career, as a known entity. Now, Hubie Brown was at Fair Lawn High School basketball coach in New Jersey, and he helped to be one of the first coaches bringing his high school program to the 5-star camp. Right. There were 2 locations. One was in Honesdale, and one was in Pittsburgh. I went to the one in Pittsburgh. I would visit the one in Honesdale, and I saw everybody. I saw David Bowie. Man, I see this kid hit his hand on the backboard. Sam Bowie hit his hand on the backboard, broke his thumb, throwing the outlet pass. I seen all these giants play. Great players at 5-star. All the greatest ones from all over the country were invited to come and compete against each other. And that's why all the coaches had to be there.
Right. Now, so in the 5-star situation, you had an encounter with a known player that we all know about. I don't know if I agree all the time when they say what they say. I always got Will Chamberlain on my mind. But anyway, there's a player that you had a close encounter with. Tell us about that.
Man, this 17-year-old kid was at Laney High School in North Carolina. Very few people knew who he was at the time outside of Carolina. I was fortunate enough to pick him to be on my team at 5-star. I had Gary McLean, also the point guard from Villanova on that team.
Mhm.
I had Chuck Drizel, Lefty Drizel's son on that team. Anyway, long story short, this bony little kid that could jump out the gym but was very focused. I put him on the wing. And I told Gary, look, man, basically, make sure you get that ball to him 1 out of 3 times down the floor. Because I knew that he was going to make the basket or the pass that led to the basket. Every time he touched the ball. I told people, this kid is one of the best kids I've ever seen play in high school. They're like, get out of here, Slap. Ain't nobody that good. No, this kid is good.
Right.
So at the end of the week, Dean Smith came up to the camp. He had to see for himself and seal a deal because everybody wanted this kid.
Right.
Dean Smith got him. Long story short, a year and a half later, because that was the summer before Michael's senior year, Michael Jordan enrolled at North Carolina and helped him win the national championship. After that, everybody listening to me like, oh, he's pretty good. He ain't bad.
Yeah, you got to know what you're talking about a little bit.
I know a little stuff. And then, moving on, the guy goes and plays for the Bulls and wins 6 championships and the rest.
Yeah, wow. Wow, what an encounter, what an experience.
Yeah.
So you touching in, brother. You definitely touching in. Now, I don't know how, but you end up choosing to come to Los Angeles. What's up with that?
Okay. So I really wasn't satisfied with basketball because there was always something chewing at me on the inside. I was never really genuinely happy of any lasting time. You're happy with winning a game, then there's another game. Then you're happy with your team, there's another team. There's another season. But when I really found myself was when I started writing.
Okay.
Writing, producing, directing plays, even acting in some plays, and met a lot of influential people. And I realized in order to get something done, you got to come to Hollywood. You got to come out here and do your best and meet the people, network, and get it done. So
hold it. Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but so you trying to say, because I have this problem with people kind of, accepting the things that I can do and have done and are doing, because you're a basketball player. You can do other things.
Absolutely.
You're not just a basketball jockey. I mean, you have other talents and skills.
Absolutely. We all are. That's what, basketball is one of my places I would go for refuge.
Amen.
I went to vent.
Right.
My frustration sometimes, I could take it out on another player or something like that.
Exactly. I hear you.
That wasn't who I was. That's what I did.
Right.
And it was only one of the things I could do well. And so one of the things I loved doing was when I wrote something like a play and I could make people happy, sad, cry, afraid, emotional. With my pen, what?
Right.
That brought me joy, and so, yeah. So when I was coming back and forth, trying to get it done from Jersey, it really wasn't working. Now I knew that in order to really be good at anything, you got to go where the best people are. So that was here in LA.
Right.
Moved my booty out here. It was risky.
Right. It always is when people come, with that dream to come out here. It's always it's risk city.
You know what I mean? But I'm glad I grew up in the bricks. I grew up in the projects in Newark, New Jersey. That makes you tough. And I knew I wasn't going to leave on a midnight train going back to Jersey.
Right. No.
I was going to come out here and stick it out. Now, I've been through stuff out here. Now, trust me.
Right.
I got ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
Movie stuff. I'm going to go straight up. They can come at me if they want. I'm going to tell you like it is. This can go all over the world. They're going to know. I wrote Save the Last Dance. But it was stolen. Correct. It was stolen from me. I wrote supposed to be a sister involved. Her mother gave her a mustard seed amulet, not the 4-leaf clover.
Mm-hmm.
It was set in Newark, New Jersey, and the girl wanted to go to Juilliard, not from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Brother, that was the lead guy, was teaching her how to do. He was a choreographer who wanted to be a choreographer and ultimately a director. So he was getting them ready for a talent show competition in which people like Queen Latifah and others were going to be judges. And his boy was from the projects, Baxter Terrace projects in Newark. That was a gangbanger, but not the kind Hollywood produces. Hollywood makes these guys like, oh, they're just thugs to be thugs, to be thugs, to be thugs. No, no, no. He was trying to make a living. And how he was stealing cars and taking them in Port Newark, chopping them up, or getting them shipped overseas, and he got his cut.
Right.
So our characters were deeper, 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 deeper.
Right.
Those tried to, because you get opportunities when Hollywood says, oh, something's successful, they give you another opportunity. Well, none of the other opportunities made the money that Save the Last Dance did because they weren't the originators.
Right.
So you don't always have to give revenge. God takes care of that.
Amen. I agree with that, my brother. Now, speaking while we're in this genre of plays and your writing, tell us about this great documentary that was done called The Fathers of Sport.
Oh, so this guy named Xavier came to me. I don't know how. Somebody told him I knew people. And they knew I knew Kobe and Jelly and all of them. I don't know how he found me, but he found me somehow. He said, hey, man, I want to do a documentary. And, I want to do it on how basketball came from the hood and came from the playground. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about how we're going to do this. Now, I wish he had really fully listened to me because we should have got Russell involved. We should have got Oscar Robertson involved. We should have had Dave Bing involved. I mean, I could listen to cats that he missed that should have been included, but it was still a good documentary. We got Dr. J involved. We got Chubby before he had a stroke involved.
That's Chubby Cox. That's
Chubby Cox, baby. I mean, we had it rolling, man. We had Pee Wee Kirkland involved. I mean, it was tight. And it's not as good as I wanted it to be, but it's still pretty good. It's very informative.
Yeah, and you captured Joe Hammond and some of these other guys' stories.
Yeah, man.
All the people that was coming into New York to play ball at the Rucker. Joe Hammond.
Yeah, but see, this is what I'm talking about. When you don't know basketball, you're outside looking in. You don't really understand that this is more than the Rucker.
Right.
There's the Baker League. You got to go all over. There's leagues in every city that got comp.
Right.
And if you're a ball player, you go where the comp is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I knew I had to come to Hollywood because when I grew up, man, like all around Newark, there's playgrounds. And word got out, okay, the run is going to be at such and such a camp, playground. Boom, you had to get your butt over there. However you had to get there. Jump on a bike, get on a bus, walk, jog, whatever you had to do. You had to be there at the time, get some run. If you lost, you might sit down and wait for an hour before you get another run. And if you stunk, nobody would pick your ass. No, excuse my language. Nobody would pick you up. Okay? You had to hoop.
No, you got to be, your stuff got to be right.
Your stuff got to be right.
It's going to be tested. If it ain't right, you're going to know one way or the other. You're going to find out. That's for doggone sure.
Correct. There wasn't no AAU back then like that.
Right.
This was your proving ground. This is where you showed everybody what you could do. And I was trying to break it down to the brother, but he really kind of half listened and just went for the gloss, got it done the best way he knew how and put it out there. So it's not bad. Yeah. Another one to really be done while we still have these great men still around,
I
tell
agree.
the stories, of growing up with, going through all kind of stuff, like, civil rights era and everything.
Right.
To launch this called the NBA.
Yeah, speaking of pickup games, real quickly, just a side of version, because we just lost Elgin Baylor. But there's an article and a story about Elgin, and Wilt had a red Cadillac or something. He had a Kansas, and he drove in the summer from Kansas back to Washington, D.C. to get in them pickup games with Elgin and them dudes over there. They was having it out in Washington, D.C. You talking about playgrounding it up. Here come Wilt, you got Elgin out there and all kind of other dudes balling out, man. Cats was coming from everywhere. And so just to think about it, Wilt drove, he knew they was balling over there. He drove, as soon as college was over, he's driving back there to Washington, D.C. to get that work in down there in D.C. with Elgin and them boys. So playground basketball was big. It drew the best in the world. The best
In
that,
the world.
that could do it was coming to these places. Real quickly,
Correct.
one more portion here on your.
Let me just cut you off 1 second. Let me just add one little tribute. See, Alvin Adams went to my high school, and Alvin played with Wilt, and so he would bring Wilt to Newark, and they would hoop in Newark. So Hill, all these cats were playing. I mean, that's how it was.
Well, look, now you're going down my alley. My behind my backyard was Landry Playground on Sundays. You know, I got this story I always tell. I was about 10. They used to run me off the court, until I got good enough to play. But I mean, everybody, the college guys from the Big Five was over there playing. So one day a car drives up, and first guy gets out. Guy said, "Oh man, there go Guy Rogers." I said, "Dang, it's Guy Rogers." Next guy get out of the car. And that's Al Adams. Wow. This third guy gets out the back seat and he just keeps getting out. I'm like, man, what the? I had never seen nothing like that in my life. Here comes out, getting out of the car, the back seat.
Folded.
Out there, hooping on the Landry was an elementary school with one court. That was it. Just one little, and it wasn't full size, but it was something about the people that South Philadelphia, where I come from, had ballers down there, and the word got around the city, and cats would come on Sunday, man, cars parked all around. I mean, it was a festive event, man. I grew up in that atmosphere to seeing these guys, man, and then when they said, okay, young boy, you can play, that's how we all grow. But one more thing, and one more point about that is the difference between, even though this AAU and all this stuff has its merit, some of it good, some of it bad, everybody has their different opinions about it. The difference that we got is that we were taught the game because we played with the old heads. That's what the difference is. We, if you didn't know a give and go or pick and roll, you had to know what to do. Cut off the baseline, box out, all the things, the fundamentals of the game. And you had to know those things. Why? Because if your team lost in the pickup game, you might be an hour and a half, 2 hours before you get a run or no run again. So they say, young boy, you miss another layup while we out here, and you're behind, we're going to smash your butt.
No. You don't take a shot till we respect you.
Right.
You pass, play defense.
Right.
Don't turn the ball over.
Right.
And we play with us.
Yeah. You had to grow into it.
When you finally make a bucket.
Right.
You feel like the world gave you $1 million.
Right. Yeah. But what did you do? But what did you do? You learned the game, though.
That's
right. You learned all those fundamentals. And so, this is an important part, because when I watch the game, sometimes I'm not sure if the players all know the game. We had to know that if you do this, this happens. When this happens, that's going to happen. If this, and this happens, it's usually going to lead to this happening. If you have this situation, you do this. If this happens, you do that. And then the fundamentals in the way you do it. If you box a guy out, it's not always just boxing out. It's boxing them out and going to get the ball. It's
wait. Boxing out? What's that? They have that.
Well, everybody calls for it on television. They're not boxing out. You can't have a kid. Boxing out is a trained instinct. If your coach is not putting the time in, and coaches are not putting the time in for really boxing out, it's not an instinct. People that box out, we had to box out, because everybody you played with, you let somebody get the rebound, rebound, and John Wooden, he wasn't playing that at all. If you didn't, you had to box out the guy shooting the jumper, a long jumper. You probably would have three in today's game. You still had to box him out. You better not let him be the one, because shooters, as soon as the ball leaves their hand, they know it's a brick.
Correct.
They come to get that offensive rebound. They know that stuff left their hand funny, and they coming to get that offensive rebound. So you had to box out and do all those things. You have to be instinctively trained. But the game has changed. Like I tell people, I've handed the game over to the day's players. This is the way y'all play. This is what y'all want to watch. But you're never going to take away from me what I love about the strategy of the basketball game I play, knowing the tempo of the game, understanding which way to go, how to run a fast break, why you go down the middle instead of the side of the court on a fast break, because you can see both sides clearly, and it's hard to trap you on the sides and all these kinds of things that give you more options when you go down the middle. But they don't teach that no more. You can bring the ball up halfway down the sideline if you want to. So that's the way they playing. So I try to love the game for what it is. I try to impact the game in ways through touch glove and other stuff that I do, the science of the game to teach. It's a science to this game of basketball, how your brain and eyes and muscle memory work. This is what I bring to the game to try to help. Now, you do the same thing. You take this and put it into the format of training. But before we go there, I want you to go on one more thing where you served as a consultant for Gatorade G Series, and you had some really great people that was a part of that whole project. With Joe Pickett, who I had a chance to work with on a project I was doing for UCLA. He was our lead person with Disney that we were trying to do with Coach Wooden. But anyway, so I got a chance to meet and work with Joe Pickett a little bit myself when he was the man when it came to commercials. But anyway.
He made over 5,000 commercials.
Exactly. Yeah, he was the man.
He also produced a lot of Michael Jackson videos and directed the Space Jam movie. Right. He was an absolute genius. I mean, he would do things with his body, which is what hurt him really physically. First of all, he's an immense man. He's about 6'4", 6'5",
yeah, big boy.
That. And he would get up on a ladder, put a camera on himself, and shoot through the backboard to get shots he wanted. I mean, he was what they now use a steady cam for. Right. You have a heart put on the body, and it takes a lot of the pressure off the human being. Right. He did it himself. I'm like, this guy is serious. I learned a lot about camera making, camera angles, and things like that, watching him work.
Incredible guy. Now, so now we're going to shift over and get into what's going on with this training and how you influence the game. So when you came to LA, even though you had your other dream, you took what you learned in coaching and a 5-star and all that stuff, and you built it into saying, well, okay, how can I still contribute in basketball? And then it looks like that's the avenue you took to try to train and develop skills in players. Tell us about how that all came to fruition.
Okay, so I'm going to church, and one of the gentlemen from my church sees me when I'm going to pay my phone bill. He says, "Slap, how you doing, man?" I said, "I'm good." He says, my son wants to go to college and play basketball. I don't know how it's going to happen. I said, "Well, you know, let me talk to him. Let me meet him. We'll talk to him a little bit. If he works real hard in his books, I'll help him with his basketball." That's basically how that happened. And he was the first kid I worked with out here in LA. It's Brandon Owens. And I didn't really know the basketball scene out here. That I heard about Verbum Day. I heard about, Marta Day. I heard about Crenshaw. I heard about various schools, but I'd never met any of the people. So I had to start grinding and learning all these places. And he ended up going to a small school called Pacific Hills. And I started taking the kids on his team. Like, he can't go where he was going because the school was horrible. So he transferred to Pacific Hills. I started helping the guys on the team just voluntarily, showing them how to do stuff because they didn't have a clue how to play basketball. They ended up winning the CIF championship and won a state championship. And one by one, like the Pied Piper, everybody started coming to me after that. Right. At first, who's this guy from Jersey? Right. What's he teaching you? Why are you going to him? Because only basically was Tim Gergovich out here working with NBA guys, and I was working with all the amateurs. And I would go up to UCLA and work with guys up at UCLA players. Some of them ended up getting, drafted into the NBA. A lot of UCLA cats I worked with up there too. And then a lot of kids. And then at one point, I actually was able to use all of Loyola Marymount's main gym, the Gersten gym. I had all 3 courts. And I bring all the best kids from LA will come into that gym. And I say, look, you got to train first, and then I'll let y'all play pickup. And we divided them up into teams, and we let them play. And we had a winner's court and so on and so on and so forth. And the rest is history.
Right. So now when you look at, when we encountered each other, I had a product I had just patented and whatever. And it's hard for me to even remember how we connected.
I think we were up at UCLA maybe.
Yeah, probably up in the old gym. up at
You know,
UCLA.
because that used to be the place where everybody would come up and bump. Man, that was
Right.
UCLA men's gym, what they used to call the men's gym, was the spot to play in the United States, in my humble opinion.
Oh, it's no question about it. Everybody, well, here's one of the reasons why. It was UCLA, number one. And so I used to be a part of running the gym. Sidney Wicks and Curtis Rowe, they used to run the gym when they was here. They started kind of that off. And then as time went on, I don't know how Magic ended up getting in that position from Michigan State. We didn't never like that, but it was Magic. The game was changing, UCLA was changing, and things was moving. So Magic and Adam got in there, his little manager to manage the games and all like that. But the point is that most of the NBA players and the college guys that were thinking about going to NBA, their agents and people all was out here. So everybody had to make a trip to LA just for business, if nothing else. And when they knew they were coming to LA, they was trying to get to LA anyway, just because of LA, but they also knew where to go. The old gym over at UCLA, everybody balling up, everybody's over there. You can go in there, Wilt might be in there, you know, still playing that.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It was the place to be. So if you play ball, you can come in that gym and see anybody that's in the world of basketball that could play in there balling out. So that's probably where we connected at. And I used to, you know, go around, you know, telling people about my product, the Touch Glove, and how I can help them and this kind of thing. And so you could see the concept right away.
Let me cut you off right now. As soon as you put those gloves on your hand, if you play basketball, you instantly know what they do for you. Now, as a trainer, I need something like that's a tool. I want to find the best things possible to help my kids have the shortest learning curve possible, because there's so many things you have to learn in this game of basketball that the less you have to actually stay on top, remind somebody, do this, do that, hold the ball like this, shoot your fingers like this, do that. The less you have to do, the better it is for you as a skills trainer. So when I got a hold of those gloves, man, I use them to this day with players. They are amazing. And they're amazing because as soon as you put them on, you go, wait a minute, my palm cannot feel the ball. The only thing I can touch the ball with are my fingertips. Now, I'm a kinesiologist, so I understand how the brain works. I understand that everything is wired so that your touch comes from your fingertips. When that becomes so acute, because those gloves don't allow you to touch it with the palm of your hand, everything you want to do in basketball that involves the ball in terms of shooting, dribbling, passing, catching, and rebounding is accentuated, is enhanced. So I fell in love with the gloves immediately.
You know, Wayne, it's a funny thing, but as you know, because I've been involved for 20 years now, of pushing and trying to get people to break through those barriers of vision and thinking that this thing can help them. And one of the things I just realized is that, and I'm going to back up real quick. So I would have people that would use the touch gloves, and then I see them, young guy play, you know, players or guys I coach, whatever it was. And I said, hey, man, and he said, hey, coach, I'm in a little shooting slump. I was, really? Where your touch gloves? That's the first thing I asked.
That's right.
He told me, I ain't been wearing them because I started wearing them and I got better. No, man, what happened is your bad habits came back. And now you better go put them gloves on, because if you put them on a couple minutes, it'll bring back all that memory again. It'll put it back, it'll set you back. So the other day, I was just sitting up there watching the games, and I'm thinking, you know, all these teams that when they won their first game, but in that second, third game, the reason why they home, they couldn't make shots they've been making all season. I'm thinking, you know what? That's funny. If they would have been using the touch gloves, if you was kind of off for a minute, at halftime, if you just would have came out and just shot around with the touch gloves on, it'll reset yourself. That's what the touch gloves can do. And I said, man, Dre, you done revolutionize your own product. You know, because the touch gloves, literally, once you get that data in your muscle memory of what the gloves do for you, that data is set there. Now, just like on a computer, you can have the data in the computer, but if you don't know how to locate the data, You need a locator, something that goes in and says, oh, there's the button to trigger that. Boom.
Yeah.
Taking it further on another tip.
Wait a minute. Let me cut you off. Let me cut you off.
Okay.
So among the people that I've gotten to work with out here
Right.
was a kid named Kobe Bryant.
Wow.
Okay. Kobe definitely loved them gloves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As a matter of fact,
hold it. Let me have you repeat that again. Who loved the touch gloves?
Kobe Bryant loved the touch gloves.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, for those who wanted to know what was on his hands, when he got injured and he wanted to make sure he could still keep shooting that rock, even dunking on people, he wore the touch glove during the game. They just had to cover the logos up with some tape or something. If you look back at, what was that, 1999?
Yeah. Oh, I know. You know I was on it.
Okay, I think something like that. He's hooping with the glove on his hand because he'd injured his hand. So he knew, okay, wait a minute, I need this. And he worked it out so there was no conflict with the NBA and actually used it in the game because touch gloves can help you anytime you use them. Matter of fact, if a coach was smart in the pre-games, if he didn't want to have them on because of rules, whatever the league or whatever the, NCAA is, whatever, okay, at least doing warm-up pre-game.
Right.
Wear those joints. And you won't have a big slump before the first half. You wonder why you can't get off to a good start, or at halftime why you get off to a bad start. Your automatic muscle memory is called files. Your brain is the best computer system ever designed.
Amen.
Brain compiles those files and it activates what you need when you need it. From your posterior lobe to your frontal lobe. Your frontal lobe is the one in the front of your mind that we're thinking with, talking about right now, listening with. But your posterior lobe is the one everybody's talking about. He's in the zone. He's in the zone. Those gloves activate the zone in you.
Amen.
That's enough. Okay, good. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
man. Yeah. Well, it's a fact. The difficult part is that what I said earlier, when you're a basketball player, people don't think that you got the science or the vision, African-American basketball player even more,
right,
to have the intellectual comprehension of those scientific ideologies and facts in your brain. But
right.
I'm built that way, you're built that way. And so for me, I see the vision of all those things. And I actually had it was a gym rat guy when I first got my touch gloves. Quick story, and he used to come in the gym, and the first year I had my first time I got my prototypes made, I went to UCLA. I get up 5 a.m. Me and my wife would go work out. I would go to the gym and spend an hour to hour and a half for a year before I really pushed the touch gloves out there. Why? Because I got a name. Do I have a big name like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? No. But I'm Andre McCarter. Some people that know basketball, they know that name. They know, what I stand for. And I've tried to live, a certain way. And so I don't want to put no junk on people or try to trick people into nothing. So I spent the time, an hour to hour and a half every day on my touch gloves. So this older guy, he was older at the time than me, would be in the gym. Older white guy, he'd be shooting around, whatever. So one day we going out the gym the same time, and he says, "Man, what's them gloves you be wearing down there? Why you got gloves on playing basketball?" So I started explaining to him, just like kind of what Wayne was saying, about the fingertips and this and that and the other. So the guy starts almost laughing at me. I'm like, man, this dude is laughing at me while I'm talking. And he says, yeah, okay, oh yeah, yeah, all right, like that. So he says, you know what? I'm the head of neurology at UCLA. I'm the head director of neurology. That's who studies all this stuff at UCLA. He said, you just did a dissertation in layman's terms. No, I didn't have the terminology like big words they would use, but the concept and the connections. He said, you are right on. And he said, and I had him try the glove on because I have a 5-second test I do where if I talk to you about the gloves, I give you a 5-second test. I put the gloves on, you throw the ball, take a couple dribbles, and boom. My first one was Grant Hill. First 5-second test was with Grant Hill and his shooting coach, that's Skip, were together up at the UCLA gym.
I
And
remember.
Grant Hill, I go over because I knew Skip, he's a young boy then. And I said, Skip, could you think Grant let me tell him about these touch gloves? So he said, yeah, man, go ahead, talk to him. So we ended up talking. We have some people we knew. One of his mentors was somebody I grew up with in Philadelphia, Reggie Kitchen, and he had mentored, Grant along his way in Virginia down there. And he said, okay, man. So I told him about the gloves to do this, do that, do the other. I give him a pair of gloves. I throw him the ball. I said, all right, take a couple dribbles and just a little mock shot. You only have to shoot at the basket, and you'll see what I'm saying. Everything I said is true. Everything I just told you is true. You'll see it. He said, well, 5 seconds, that's all it is. I said, man, 5 seconds, man. I threw him the ball. He took one for dribble one. You can see his face. When he took that dribble two, he didn't even go no fast for past two. He said, bam, bam. He took that second. He said, oh, I see exactly what you're talking about, man. Dang, I can't feel nothing but on my fingertips. Dang, and he started shooting around and all like that. But the important thing to shift things back around, I have there's so many basketball players that have been using my touch gloves that are professional athletes and former college players. That is ridiculous. And the good part of it is that somebody's gotten better using the touch gloves. The sad part is that the vision, the vision to be able to say, hey, man, you know what? This is something here that I need to get involved in, because people invest in all kinds of stuff out here, man. Some of the stuff that people lose money. I said, hey, you invested in that, but you couldn't see that this is $1 billion all around the world product. And so because I'm an inventor, I have the next 4 or 5 ideas already on paper, what's coming next in technology wise and everything. But they never find that out because they couldn't see the vision of. Now, I don't know, basketball players, we are competitive. Maybe sometimes people don't want you to make more money than they make, or maybe they don't think you smart as you are because of the color of your skin, even sometimes from your own. I don't know. But you know what, Wayne, just like you said, going to church and trusting and doing the right things, I never have any anger with anyone. I'm not mad. I have angst against no man. I am happy. I go forward, I march, and let the Lord protect, whatever he's going to do for me is going to happen for me. I just keep working for Touch Glove to do the right thing. I try to keep helping kids. They got me doing TikTok stuff on TikTok where I teach the basketball in 30 seconds. You have to talk fast. Boom, 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 boom. Do this, do that in a minute. Give and go. This is how it works. You got to do this. You need this in your game. So I'm doing stuff, even at my age where I'm joining into this crowd. I still love the game. I see a 4-point shot coming where guys pulling up like Lillard and some of these guys and Steph Curry and them, they pulling up from way out there. Woo! You know what I mean? So, hey, that's the way the game is going. But, let me run this by you, though. But you know what's funny to me, Wayne, in basketball is that despite all this 3-point shooting and all this stuff here, first of all, when it get down to championship time, you watch this next 4, 5, 6, 8 games or whatever it's going to be. The game going to go back to old school. It happens every year. I said, somebody going to just say this stuff, man. One of the coaches in the recent game said, oh, if you got a 3, you got the green light. Now, mid-range, but if you shooting a 3, you got the green light. So in other words, he's telling his guys pull up jacket, but whatever. But when it comes down to winning time, and the other team gets to study you and realize I'm running you off the 3-point line, Wayne. You think you're gonna pull up for threes? No, you ain't. Not this game. I'm gonna be on your butt. You want to get a shot, it's gonna be something going to the basket or pull up mid-range, but you ain't getting this 3 because that's all you want to do. Now what's gonna happen? Or now you're starting to see that somebody that got a big advantage with a big man is posting them up. That's the way the game's supposed to be played. But they try to act like, no, that's gone for good. No, it's not.
Uh,
It's not going. And you look at a guy like Dwight Howard, even with his mistakes and flaws, whatever, he had enough sense to come back and reinvent himself. But basically, and realize that it's some value in getting the offensive rebound and just being in there as a big man. And he
that's right.
can't make no threes. They tried to say that those type of players are dinosaurs. It's not true. When it come to money time, you know, he's the one that was in there beating up Jokovic, the Joker last year for the championship. Dwight Howard playing that old school basketball game, you know, that he got. No threes, you know, whatever. Now, one more thing I got to
wait before you go, stay on that point. You have to be able to score from 4 levels. You got to be able to score. You had a long ball, that's true. But you also got to be able to score that mid-range from all 7 angles. You got to be able to score around the basket with either hand. And then you got to be able to shoot free throws, man. You got to be able to
that's where I was going. You must have knew where I was going to them free throws.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, man.
Basketball.
Look, well, you don't even have to include Alabama. I mean, that whole free throw situation, you know, I'm glad I played, you know, I played at UCLA. I'm glad. But I feel for them brothers, man. You know, you lost the game at the free throw line, but guess what? They ain't the only one. It's in the NBA. It's you know, it's everywhere. And so when somebody comes along and tells you, hey man, you need more touch, that's the part that people seem like they just having trouble. You can improve your touch. You're playing basketball at a ceiling level, meaning that whatever gift you have from God on touch, that's the ceiling you at right now. I'm saying that Touch Glove, because God downloaded the idea to me, he found a way through my invention to add on to your touch, past what he gave you. 5% of the people have great touch. They don't need no touch gloves if they don't want to use them. They can still improve with them because touch gloves are unlimited on who they can improve. Steph Curry could shoot better. What? You heard me. He could shoot better if he had even more touch. But do he need them? No. He could play like he is, whatever. But that's 5% of the population. 95% of the people, including the 1 million basketball players that play in high school, all these 100,000 people that play college basketball, that's trying to get to that next level, all need some touch gloves and to improve their touch. And there's only one thing that really does it out here. One product that claims to even do it is touch glove. You can't lose these games at the free throw line. To NBA teams, I've been trying to tell these owners and people, I say, man, those free throws are $1 million shots for you, multi-million-dollar shots. The difference between going to level 1 in the playoffs to the next season is millions, almost billions of dollars. It's big money. Free throws are big money. Kids say, what's the most important shot in the game? 3-pointers, this and that. No. Runners, float, no. Free throws. You gotta make the free throws. Now, if somebody goes through and actually, you know, do their analytics on this basketball season just happened here, and when it got tight in the March Madness and all this, is one dominant figure that's standing tall and saying, I got a bunch of y'all, is the free throw line man. He's standing over and saying, I got you, man. You know, I got you. But Wayne, I want to jump back at you. Because now on players, what do you see? I call touch the most dominant force in the game of basketball. It's in the way the game is played today. It's today's game. It's the most essential thing you need. It's the most dominant force in the game because it's an equalizer. A guy can't even dunk, but if he can handle that ball, make the passes, put touch on that ball, and have a feel for the ball, you can play at every level, no matter what your size is, and even sometimes how fast you are. Just because your touch level is so good, they have to pay the man. Pay the man. Why? Because he's got soft touch, man, them hands. Djokovic is just a marvel to me because his hands are allowing him to be, if not one of the best centers in basketball. because his touch is just off the chart. That ball hit his hands any kind of way, he got it. You know, he shoots a shot, you can feel, you can see the touch on it. It's golden. And when you can develop something like that, I mean, you know, you got these pro players. I say to a guy, would you pay would you pay $90 million? Would you pay $45 for $90 million? That's the difference between your shooting percentages, that instead of getting a long-term contract for, you know, 90 million, you should have got one for 170 million. But because your free throw shooting and some of these other small touch things are not right, you ain't getting paid you want to. And then so same thing with kids. You know, you want to, you know, would you pay $45 for a scholarship? Would you pay $45 to get off the bench and play more? Would you pay $45 to, you know, to get some better touch? The game is coming down to the touch. Who has the feel for the ball? And that's what Lillard and these guys, their touch is getting off the chart, man. You know, they already shot the ball off the fingertips. So you can see it when it leaves their hand. It's right. They got that touch on it. And now their touch is improving. So it's I think for you, when you're training people, what do you get after the most in the players? What do you feel is the most important things that players need to develop for today's game?
Well, you know, touch is very important. Your hand-eye coordination is important, but your coordination is going to come from your touch. I mean, your feel of how to catch a basketball is going to be how your fingertips grab that ball. If you want to know if something is hot or cold or rough or smooth or hard or soft, you don't touch it with your palm, you touch it with your fingertips. For a reason. There's a direct connection to your brain. Those synapses jump quickly and more coordinated when you have touch. So it helps your passing. I mean, some guys can't pass. If you want to pass on time and on target, you need touch to be able to do that. You don't want to pass the ball over to his left shoulder when he's moving to his right, because you have to come back, catch the ball, bring it back to his right, just to prepare to shoot it. It helps you make a better assist to your teammate. If you're dribbling the basketball, you want to know how the ball going to come off your fingertips. I mean, your fingers determine the direction the ball's going to go in, how high it's going to go in, all that. You need to have that. When you grab a rebound, you need to be able to have your hands strong. Your fingertips got to be strong. You can't just grab it with your palm. It's going to bounce off your palm. I mean, there's no part of the game that touch doesn't help. Even when you're playing defense and you want to tip the ball away from the player without, I mean, there's no element of the game that touch cannot help. It makes your brain more acute, more alert when you have good touch also.
Right.
So everything I teach is from that aspect. I break the game down to its smallest elements and build the game like I'm building.
Well,
it must be 2:00, is it?
No, 1:39. You good?
This person is trying to call me. It's okay. We'll continue.
Okay. But so I don't want to put you on the spot. If you want to throw some names out there, it's up to you. I mean, you don't have to, I'm not trying to get you to name drop, but I guess I am. Some of the people that you've trained, and we're not going to say whether they use the touch gloves or not, but we will say that Wayne is a proponent of the touch gloves, and he wants his players to utilize the touch gloves. But we're not going to say yay or nay, just like I don't say, I know all the players that use my touch gloves.
Right.
The two that I do talk about is Greg Foster, who I recruited to UCLA, who in an article with ESPN, Undefeated, that they did on touch glove being the thing that may change sports. And Jason Kidd, assistant coach, who was the head coach at the time when the article was done at Milwaukee Bucks, both utilized touch gloves. It really helped Jason Kidd become a three-point shooter after not being known for his outside shot. and he definitely, supports it. So those are two people without paying them, or they don't have an endorsement deal with you or anything. They just came out and just told the truth, but it's a lot of players out there that you watch even now. It's commentators and players that play even now that have utilized the touch gloves in secret. People want to keep the edge on things. So,
Correct.
but anyway, go ahead, Wayne. If you got some guys you want to, shout out to that you, work with.
Well, I'll just say that I've worked with Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Derek Fisher, Tyson Chandler. I can keep going, but it'll sound like I'm bragging.
Right.
I prefer not to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate because a lot of them, I basically met a lot of them up at UCLA.
Right.
Or a lot of them, like Derek. Derek was just a rookie, coming out of Little Rock, coming to the Lakers. He came up to UCLA because he heard that was the place to be. Saw me in the gym working with guys. Hey, man, let's go to work.
Mm-hmm.
Work on basically little things first. Get that go-to move. Then get that counter move for that go-to move. Then they get that counter for that counter. And then you can't be guarded, man. So, and touch gloves help everybody, man. Elton Brand, I can keep going, but I don't have to.
Right. It's all real. I got something I want to ask you from a basketball point of view. One of the things I see a lot of kids, especially at the lower levels, when I go watch, these freshman games, freshman high school players, JV teams, and even high school players. Some players, because of the inefficiency of their dribbling skills and just fear for really having to handle the ball, they, once they make a move and the defensive guy cuts them off, they just give up the ball. They don't, say, I couldn't have been the player I was if I start dribbling and dude cut me off. That's not stopping me. I'm either on spin on him, I'm gonna go behind my back on him, I'm gonna go between my legs on him, I'm gonna shake him, I'm gonna do something that just because you cut me off. And depending on how you cut me off where the left is open, I can dribble with my left hand, so I'm gonna go left. I'm getting by you. I'm not letting one guy just because I dribble. Well, a lot of players have trouble with that. How do you train guys? You were talking about Derek Fisher and talking about how you took one level to the next level. How do you get a guy, to take that next move just because the guy cut you off on the first move you make?
First of all, you have to have the mentality to understand, like you were saying, everything you try to do to stop me actually helps me to score on you or to get by you. Mm-hmm. So if you reach, your body's moving in that direction. Your body cannot go in two directions at the same time. Mm-hmm. So when I see you reaching, I see as your body's moving. Either your hand is moving or your knee's moving a certain direction or your foot. I know you can't counter it if I move than you do. Right. So I recognize what that is and I move out opposite to that. Right. If I see you moving to try to cut me off to my right, I'm either going to pull up and shoot a step back because your body's moving in that direction. You can't get back to me. Or I'm going to spin on you. Or I'm going to go between my legs and change directions on you. Or I'm going to use the inside out to pull you back this direction, throw you off, and then go where I want to go. Because you have to react to me. I'm in charge. When I have the ball, I'm the boss. You become my puppet.
Good information. So Wayne, is there anything that we need to know what's going on with you now? We know you still train, you're working with young players and guys and helping players get places. The thing I like about you is that you care about your players. You follow up with them as far as their careers and what they're trying to do. You give them advice. You work with their parents to try to, educate the parents. That's an important thing because now we got, parents fighting in the stands and all kind of stuff going on, because everybody, that dollar does that. Money draws out the worst in people because they want to get that money and they want their kid to be the one to get it. And it's understandable, but, there is some wisdom in it. And somebody like you's been around, that can influence the thinking. So that I appreciate that about you. You're not in it, the game, just for the money. You're in it for the progress of the kids and the people that work with you. I think they realize that's why so many people come to you and look at you because you really care. You want things to happen good for them. But is there something that you're working on outside of the basketball realm or anything you want to share with people as we, come to a close here?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just get back to what you just said first. Mm-hmm. if I don't use my gift, because it's a gift that I have,
Yep.
I'll lose it.
I feel the same way.
And that gift has led me all over the world. I have trained basketball players, coached basketball players from Korea to Japan to Australia to New Zealand to Germany, everywhere, Spain, everywhere in the world. Some places I've even gotten to travel there because of basketball. If I dishonor that, I don't deserve what's coming to me. The Bible says your gift will lead you.
Mhm.
It will take you to great men. I believe that, and that's happened for me. And so it is whatever your gift is, you have to honor that gift. Don't dishonor it. Don't do dishonorable things with that gift when you get granted it. Don't be arrogant about it. It's a gift. It can be taken away from you also. So I try to honor that at all times. My other gift is my writing. That's a fact. And so I'm pursuing a couple things right now. I stopped submitting my stuff to Hollywood because I got ripped off so many times. And now I'm about to produce some of my first films. And they're going to make people take notice about us as human beings. They're going to present ways that show people love is the answer. That show people that God can help you find a way when there's no way. I'm a living testament to that. I came out of the projects in Newark, New Jersey. My projects was 8 stories high, 64 families on one side, 64 on the other, 128 families packed on each other like sardines, 6 buildings, and then tall brick buildings, and then the little bricks, 3 of those. I mean, how I made it out of there, it's a miracle.
I hear you, my brother.
And recognizing characters and people that I've along the way helped me to write. All those people along my way helped me to develop these characters that I've been able to put into films to just try to help entertain, but try to help make life better for people. Try to help them see life outside of themselves, that there's a way to do things when it seems to be no way to do things. Mm-hmm. Most of my films are all positive. Very few of them end in tragedy. Although tragedy can happen, there's definitely dramedy that happens. But I try to give people a positive way to make it.
Wow. Man, what a podcast this has been. There's so much richness in here. And it's unfortunate that some people don't have the patience to sit down and watch things, but you're missing a whole bunch of information here, buddy. So if you do watch it, you better school your other people, man. I don't care. You better take some time and listen to what's going on here, because it's we went in, man. That's why I call it touch in. Because why? We go in. We touching in on you. We giving it out to you. We dripping it out, as they say, you know. And we grinding this thing out. You know, we just bringing truth, man. We just trying to be real people and do real things and touch in. And I appreciate your time, Wayne. You know, it's been a great pleasure, you know, being friends with you and, you know, working with you. And it's always been, you know, a plus. And I hope you feel the same way with me.
Absolutely.
And, you know, this is a treasure, man. This is a great opportunity, and hopefully a lot of people get to see it. And we're going to chop it up and take out some of the good points about it, of course, and try to, you know, lure people in to this great talk we had today. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming in and touching.
It's an honor. It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
All right. God bless, man.
Likewise. Take care. Peace and God bless.